But first, how victims of the Post Office IT scandal didn't just suffer wrongful convictions and financial ruin, their reputations were shattered too. And in some cases, that had sinister and long-lasting consequences. ITV News has heard from the Patel family, who ran a post office in their shop in a small Oxfordshire village. When Sub-postmaster Vipin Patel was falsely convicted of fraud, some in the local community turned on them. The family faced racism, harassment and an attempt to make them leave. Thankfully, the support of other villagers convinced them to stay, but the pain and memories of what happened remain. They told Nick Wallace about their ordeal.
Now, this just came out as a yardstick to punish us.
13 years ago, Vipin Patel was a convicted criminal. His wife, Jayshree, says she was racially abused by a customer. Vipin was suicidal.
Every morning you woke up, you had this feeling like stomach churning and body not wanting to get up because you didn't know how to face the day.
As the only Asian family living in the Oxfordshire village of Horspath, the Patels were highly visible. Shortly after Vipin's conviction, this sign appeared on his shop front door.
Someone in the village, very nasty person, I think so, they want Vipin died.
At the time, the idea was to drive us out of the village.
Banned from working behind the post office counter in his shop, some residents wanted the Patels to sell up and move on. In 2016, a memorial cross was cemented into the lawn outside Horspath village stores. Vipin's name and the letters RIP were written on it.
There was fright, and up until this cross went on, I was still being treated for depression and suicidal counseling and everything. So this was just another big blow.
Keith Brooks, a friend of Vipin's, photographed the cross. He thinks there was a racial element to the abuse the Patels were getting.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. Because he's a foreigner or Asian. If he'd have been an Englishman or white man, they'd have probably looked at it a little bit differently.
ITV News has seen emails sent in 2011 to Horspath Parish Council as part of a campaign to keep Vipin's post office counter open for the sake of the village. The idea of stopping the Patels' use of village-owned land for customer parking was raised. I'm sorry, the author writes, but there has to be a realistic stick. Another email suggests Vipin isn't listening to reason because east is east and west is west. The email goes on to say, we all understand the culture. The Patel's son, Varchas, was 23 and living in London when Vipin was convicted. Both parents, particularly Jayshree, shielded their children from what was happening.
She didn't need to do that. She could have come for me for help. And those who made my parents feel extremely not welcome, they all should be ashamed of themselves.
Just over 3 years ago, Vipin's conviction was quashed at Southwark Crown Court. The Patels were warmly welcomed home and are keen to stress that most villagers have not caused any problems. What happened to the Patels here in Horspath isn't about Horspath. It's about the post office and the damage it did when it very publicly ruined the reputations of hundreds of innocent people. Do you think the post office have any idea what they've done to you?
No. They haven't got a clue because they work in ivory towers and we are small people. They couldn't care less of the catastrophic disasters they have caused on me and all other postmasters.
The Post Office told us its chief executive has met a number of former sub-postmasters, as he believes it's important to understand the trauma that people have gone through. We are deeply sorry for the pain which has been suffered by so many people, their families and friends throughout the Horizon IT scandal.
Thank you very much.
Vipin and Jayshree are still waiting for full compensation and the hard memories of harassment and abuse to fade.